What's going on, everybody? Today, what I want to do is go deep down the rabbit hole. And what I want to talk about is how to make your life easier, how to make winning less complicated, and how to actually get started. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because yesterday, I ran into a guy that I've known since 2021. Now, this is a guy that I've seen over the last 5 years. And me and him are very, very casual. We just say hello, how's things going? And the conversations are usually very friendly, but at the same time, very, very brief. And the reason why we actually became kind of acquaintances is because he actually found me on social media. He found me as my Instagram page started to actually grow a little bit. And he introduced himself. He said, "Hey, I follow you on Instagram." And from there, we became two people. Whenever we came into contact, we would say hello. And it would just be very, very brief. We would just see each other in passing. But yesterday was the first day. Last night was the first time we ever actually had a really, really deep conversation. And what we spoke about, because one of the things he asked me was how I was doing, how are things going. And I actually went into detail on how my life is going. And like I explained in a past video, it's going very, very well. Things are very, very good right now. Despite the outside world, despite what's going on everywhere else, for me personally, and I don't like talking about it too much, particularly on social media because I don't want to jinx it, but right now it's going very, very well. And I started explaining to him how well it was going, particularly when it came to creating content, picking up clients, selling my digital courses, making money just posting content for social media. So now I'm having, like, as far as financially, streams of income coming from all different directions. And it's by far the easiest money I've ever made in my life. By far. And because it's so easy, it's like almost to the point where I feel like the world, the universe, God is kind of playing a trick on me. And because I feel like the world's playing a trick on me, I feel like I have to share it to others. So every time I come into contact with people, it's like I want to share what's going on in my life and present that message to others so they could start doing it too. Now, what's really, really interesting with this guy is as I was telling him what I was doing, and I was giving him the exact steps on how I was creating content, what I was doing, what courses I went through, what books I was reading, what YouTube videos I was watching, what practices I was doing, this guy did it all. He did the exact same thing. He was surprised that we watched the same courses, we knew the same creators, we read the same books, we read the same marketing books, we read the same persuasion books, we read the same sales books. He was surprised because he was like, "Oh, wow, it's weird to actually see somebody actually doing it." And the crazy part was the stuff I was telling him he already knew. And not only did he already know it, for the most part, he knew it better than me. He understand it intellectually better than I did. When it came to, like, particularly like the marketing, the persuasion tactics, how to hook somebody, how to actually film content, because that's probably my biggest weakness is filming content because I'm not a filmer. Like, I make videos on my phone. Like right now I'm doing like a FaceTime, and technically I'm supposed to hold the camera the opposite way to get a bit of camera angle. I don't understand lighting, but the idea was what he said to me that was very, very powerful was the difference between me and him is I took the action. And it made me think about it, and it made me realize why I was able to take so much action despite working a lot. I work a lot. I mean, it's amazing to me how many people complain about they just work 40 hours a week. I work a lot more than that. And I'm still able to make a good amount of content. I'm still able to be an attentive boyfriend. I don't have kids yet, but hopefully when we do, me and my girlfriend do have kids, I'll be able to do that too. I'm still able to make a little bit of time for my family. I'm still able to do extracurricular activities like working out and stuff like that. But today, what I want to do is talk to you guys about why I'm able to take the amount of action that I do, the concepts that I understand, and these are very, very counterintuitive to what's taught in the self-development world. And hopefully by sharing with you not only the lessons that I've learned, but also some stories, and hopefully you can see a relationship to your life. That way for you, whatever it is you want, a relationship, better health, more money, more success, or a new career, whatever it is you want, it could at least make it a little bit easier just by having this awareness. So I'm gonna go over the 3 pieces of advice. I actually just say the 3 pieces of advice and then break it down, right? First piece of advice: stop trying to do your best and just be average. So that's the first piece of advice. Stop trying to do your best and just be average. Second piece of advice: stop trying to be original and just do the obvious thing. Stop trying to be original and just do the obvious thing. And the third piece of advice: stop thinking outside of the box. Instead, choose a box. Master that box. And once you master that box, then you'll be able to think outside of the box. Because there's a saying, once you see the way in one thing, you see the way in all different types of other things. You'll see the way in all other fields, boxes, relationships, everything. So those are the 3 pieces of advice. Now I'm going to break down each piece of advice right now through stories. So the first piece of advice: stop trying to do your best and just be average. What does this mean? Growing up, we all been told this: do your best. And I agree, do your best. But the problem is, when you have the expectation of doing your best, you create what's called attachment to an outcome. And once you start to create this attachment to an outcome, you place unnecessary pressure on yourself to the point where you become very, very tense. So for instance, if you try to do your best in everything, you're eventually going to burn yourself out. And I'll demonstrate this through a story. Remember back in 2000, it might have been 2018, 2019. This is when I was still working for the gym. Me and the trainers, we all got together to play in a basketball league. Now me, as a kid, I used to love playing basketball. Basketball was my favorite thing to do. I was okay at it. I wasn't great at it. I wasn't able to play like high school sports. Unfortunately, I had a hole in my heart to the age of like 16 or 17. So I wasn't medically cleared, right? But anyway, 2018, 2019, basketball tournament. All the trainers got together. I was just so excited to be playing in a basketball tournament. Super, super excited because it was the first time I was playing any type of basketball in probably like 5 years. Because the last time I actually played basketball was 2014. So the first game comes. Oh wow, I see a deer. Whoa. I wish I could flip it. He's kind of just looking at me right now. Anyway, hey buddy. All right, yeah, I'm just walking this way. Not gonna do nothing except tell my story. I'm harmless. I don't know if you guys can see him. Can you see him? Probably not. But anyway, oh, you hear him, right? But anyway, first game of the season. I'm just excited to be there. I'm like, oh, wow, this is gonna be fun. I don't even care if I play. The fact that I'm on the basketball court for me is so exciting. And it turns out, first game of the season, we're playing against the team that won the championship the year before. So the expectation of us winning wasn't high because we're like, oh, this is the team that won. And they were good. And I ended up playing the first half. And by the end of the first half, I probably have like 4 points, which isn't bad. And we're losing by 15. But I'm having a blast. I'm just enjoying my time. Anyway, second half comes, and out of nowhere, I catch fire. I end up finishing the game with like 35 points, game high, so scored the most out of both teams, out of each individual player. Scored 35 points. We went into overtime. We ended up losing in overtime. But what ended up happening after the game, the group chat with all of the trainers was going crazy. They're like, yo, Lou, I didn't know you could play like that. I didn't know you could hoop. And then what was even crazier is the next day when I got to work, that's all everybody was talking about for the next week. Even my clients were like, yo, I didn't know you could play basketball. And me, I had to be like, pretend like I didn't, like I was trying not to be bashful. I was just like, oh, yeah, I play a little bit, right? But what ended up happening was because I did so well, when the second game came, I wanted to top that. I wanted to be better than that. To the point where when the second game came, I was forcing everything because I was trying to do my best. I wanted people to talk about me. I wanted people to know that I could play. I wanted the people to see me. My ego ended up taking over. And because my ego took over, I played horrible. Same thing happened with the third game. By the time the third game came around and I played really, really bad again, I ended up quitting. And the reason why I said I quit was because during that time, the games were on Sunday nights between like 9 to 11 p.m. And I had to be up at 3:45 in the morning on Monday morning to go to work at 5 because my first client was usually at 5 a.m. So that was my excuse. But the truth was, if I would have did well those other two games, do you think I would have quit? Probably not, right? So the idea here was when I was just trying to be average, like that first game, when I just wanted to have fun, when I just was in a state of flow, where I just wanted to let go, where I was just smiling, where I was just happy, I end up actually performing my best. And the same thing happened with me creating content. My most viral piece of content is on Instagram. It's a Chinese grandma post. It got 10.5 million views. It picked up about 100,000 followers. This was a piece of content that literally took me like 15 minutes to make. It didn't take long for me to make. It was just something I put together real quick because I had some place to be. And I was like, I gotta post something. So I put a piece of content together. It took me about 5 minutes to record. It took me 10 minutes to write the text. And then I just posted it. I didn't even think about it. And then 2 hours later, I looked at it. It was at like 150,000 views. I was like, oh crap, it's going viral. Like it shocked me. Like this is going viral. And then it ended up getting into the millions. What ended up happening though, same thing with the basketball story, was like a week later, I was like, all right, if this went viral and I barely worked on it, I'm really gonna, the next piece of content I'm gonna make, I'm gonna make something similar to it, but I'm gonna top it. I'm gonna make sure the lighting is good. I think I even did like push-ups for a video to look a little bit more like plump. Made sure the lighting was good. I had my girlfriend recorded to make sure the camera was straight because that's like my biggest weakness. And I actually like thought of like a more better, more engaging hook. And then what happened is I posted and it tanked. All because I placed this unnecessary pressure on me by trying to do my best. As opposed to just being average, just showing up, take the pressure off yourself. Because when you take the pressure off yourself, when you decide I'm just gonna show up average. Now, when I say average, I don't mean be lazy, but just show up. Do what it is you gotta do. Don't look at it like a big deal. When you look at it like that, you actually end up performing your best. Now, my question to you is, can you relate to this? Has this ever happened to you? Maybe, you was with somebody who was very, very attractive. And because you was with them and you was very attracted to them, you try to show them your best. You try to impress them. Maybe you overdressed. Maybe you put on a little bit of extra cologne or a little bit of extra perfume. And then by the time you got with them, you was so tense, so stiff. And then maybe you even practice lines. Maybe same thing with like a speech. Maybe you had to do a speech for work and you script out every speech and you wanted to make sure it was great. And then you got there, and because you placed so much pressure on yourself and you made the thing into such a big deal, you end up not performing well. So with my friend that I spoke to last night, he's going through the exact same thing. He's trying to think of the perfect piece of content to make. And because of this, he's placing so much pressure on himself that he's not even starting. All right, so that's the first piece of advice. Remember, stop trying to do your best, just be average. Second piece of advice, stop trying to be original and just be obvious. What does that mean? Oftentimes, we all want to stand out. We all want to be unique. We all want to be different. We all want to kind of inherently, from an ego point of view, separate ourselves from the herd. Now, in this example, I'm particularly using content, right? But this relates to anything, working out. Sometimes when we choose to do a workout plan, we're trying to look for the super complicated best workout plan, as opposed to doing the obvious thing, which is just go for a walk and eat a little bit less if you're trying to lose weight. Like it could literally be that simple. That's the obvious thing. Just walk up your stairs. As opposed to taking the elevator, just walk up the stairs. Now, I'm going to share a story with you with how I actually started my content journey. 2019, I was at a seminar. The seminar cost me $3,000 to get in. At the time in 2019, it was a little pricey for me. Get there, by far the least successful person in the room. Everybody was making way more money than me. I was making okay money, but because I live in New York takes a lot and New York's expensive to live. But I was the least successful person. And I was also, I think, the youngest in the room at the time. I was like 29 or 30. And I remember particularly this woman, I don't remember her name. She was a lawyer, made good money, very successful lawyer. She comes up to me because she knew I was a personal trainer and a massage therapist at the time. And she was like, Lou, I've been having like these neck issues lately. Like my neck's been really, really messed up. And do you know any type of like exercise or stretch to help me release some neck pain? Now, I'm a trainer and massage therapist, right? The problem with me at the time was I only hung out with other gym people and other massage therapists. So the thing that was obvious to me, I thought everybody knew. So I sarcastically looked at her, and I explained this in the past video. I sarcastically looked at her, and I was being very sarcastic. I looked at her, and I just took one of my ears to my shoulders, and I held it. And she mirrored me, and as she mirrored me, and she felt the stretch, she started like flipping out. She started freaking out. She was like, oh my God, I feel it. Oh my God, right? And I'm looking at her, I'm like, is she joking? Is this lady really, really serious right now? Then what happened was when we end up actually going to our next break, she's in the room showing everybody the stretch. And everybody else was starting to feel the stretch. And that's when it clicked. And I realized, oh, what's obvious to me is original to others. Now here's the key. Because when I first started trying to make content, I was trying to make content. And remember, this is related to everything. I was trying to impress my peers. I was trying to make content that was good for my peers, the people that were in my field. But believe it or not, these are the people that I can't help. If they already know the knowledge, like why am I trying to impress them? So what happened? What's obvious to me is original to others. I started to realize like, oh, this woman is my audience. This is the woman that I could serve. So when I started to make content, and I said, how can I make my content so obvious? And what it came to me is like, I realized when people are watching my content, more than likely they're on their phone, they're bent over, they're sitting down. How can I make it as simple as possible, as easy as possible for them to actually feel the results in real time right away? And my original pieces of content was me in the chair, was me sitting down, was me doing stretches in the chair. And I remember some of my trainer friends, because I was posting a lot of content, some of my trainer friends or my coworkers, they were actually getting a little annoyed with me. Like, why do you keep posting this crap? Like, why do you keep posting this basic, obvious stuff? And I never explained it to them, but it got to the point where they were getting so annoyed with me that they actually, some of them actually unfollowed me, right? So what's obvious to me is original to others. By just doing obvious stuff over and over again, if you learn to do the obvious stuff, because remember, I want you to remember what's obvious to you is not obvious to everyone else. And what happens though is when you start doing the obvious thing over and over again, what happens is you start to get into rhythm, you start to get into flow. And as you get into flow, that's when you start pulling original ideas, something brand new, something unique, something that actually represents you. So I want you to think about this. Like it amazed me. There's a famous basketball player right now. His name is Steph Curry, and he's known as the best like 3-point shooter of all time. So a 3-point shot, for those of you that don't know, it's pretty far away from the basket, and he's really really good. And it amazed me when I found out, and I would have never thought to do this when I was playing basketball, that when Steph Curry practices every single day, he starts right underneath the basket, taking shots that a 5-year-old can make. And he literally starts with making like 5 or 10 shots, shooting that stuff. And then he takes a step back. And then he takes a step back. He's doing obvious stuff. He's just doing the obvious thing. And then what happens is he gets into his flow, he gets into his rhythm, and then he starts taking more complex shots, and then he becomes original. So for you, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to do? Think about it. What's the next obvious step? What's the next simple step? What's the next boring step that you could do right now? You're trying to get into shape. What's the obvious thing you could do? If you're trying to build your social skills, what's the next obvious thing to do? Like social skills is an easy one. What's the next obvious thing? Take out your phone and do what I'm doing right now. Record a speech to the phone. Maybe ask ChatGPT to come up with a 2-minute monologue about a particular thing and practice reading it out loud to your phone and practice on the cadence of your voice and the rhythm. If you're trying to, improve your dating life, if you're trying to lose weight and learn to cook, what's the next obvious thing to do? Stop trying to be original. So remember, when you do the obvious step over and over again, first of all, it takes the pressure off of you again. Yes, it's boring. Yes, it's easy. Yes, it's not that complex. Yes, it's not that sexy. But the thing is, it's effective. So just do the obvious thing. Remember my story with the woman with the neck. To me, this is obvious stuff. But to her, it was original. And again, remember, when you continuously do the obvious thing over and over again, it gets you into a flow, it gets you into a rhythm. Like if you guys know this, all of my content is super easy to make. What do I mean by that? I literally just set up my phone, hit play, and just start recording. I don't really care too much about the lighting. I'm just trying to get into rhythm. This is the same thing with the speech. I didn't really think too much about the speech. Yeah, it's 24 minutes long. Yeah, some people aren't going to watch it, but I'm not trying to impress everybody. But what happens is you do the obvious thing over and over again. You end up getting into flow. You end up getting into rhythm. And all of a sudden, you start pulling original ideas, unique ideas. And this is when you start to separate yourself. You already separate yourself if you already do the obvious thing over and over again. I'll say it again, you already separate yourself. If you decide to do the obvious thing over and over again, because 99.9% of people, unfortunately, they're instant gratification creatures. They're going to quit. And this is not a competition thing. This is not an ego thing. I just know this. I just know this. Like my friend from 2021, he's been studying the same stuff as me from 2021, and this is not a knock on him. But he already knows what to do. But he's trying to think of the super complex way of going about it. Where me, I just pull out the phone, hit play, and I start recording my moves. It is not even good. But I know that it's going to resonate with somebody. I'm not trying to connect with everybody. I'm just trying to connect with the right people. And whatever it is you're trying to do, remember this. Just do what's the next obvious step. Please choose to do it. Don't make it complex. Make it super simple. That's why I enjoy this page a lot. I enjoy your comments when you say, oh, you just did this and you feel a difference, or you twist, or you did the toe touch, or the neck stretch. And I'm happy that you guys enjoy my commentary, my little silliness that's coming off the top of my head. And I'm just flowing when I'm writing the little text. I'm glad. But the whole idea is for me is I'm doing my best to translate it to you guys to get you off your butts and take a little bit of action. So again, I'm gonna keep saying it again. Stop trying to be original, just do the obvious thing. And the third and final piece of advice, if you made it this far, wow. But the third piece of advice, stop trying to think outside of the box. Instead, choose a box and master it. And this is a very, very powerful one because we've all heard you gotta think outside the box. You gotta think outside. You can't think outside the box until you learn how to think, first of all. And the only way you can learn to think and get good at thinking is learn how to master something. Choose a box. And literally, when you learn to choose a box and get good at the box, which takes time, by the way, you actually start to enjoy the box more to the point where you stick with it and you just level up. It's two birds chasing each other. So, I'll share a couple of stories here. I know the video is already long, but I'm enjoying myself. 2019, again, went on a 15-day cruise with my girlfriend. And I remember we got into the room, it's 15 days, and I remember looking at the movie section. And I noticed, because it was a 15-day cruise, in the movie section, it was exactly 15 movies. So I knew it's instinctively that, like, hey, I'm going to watch each movie. Because that's probably one of my favorite things to do is watch movies, get lost in somebody else's imagination. And what was cool about it, this is a really, really powerful lesson, is because I knew I was going to watch every movie, it was very, very easy for me to choose. I just picked the next movie. And a movie that I typically wouldn't watch, that I believe that I typically wouldn't have enjoyed, I actually enjoyed almost every movie. Pretty much every movie I enjoyed it. Versus if I would have got into the room, and let's say there would have been Netflix on the cruise ship, how long do you think it would have took me to choose something? To pick something? It probably would have took me 45 minutes to an hour and a half to pick something. I probably wouldn't have watched as many movies. And what I'm learning more and more as I get older, particularly in the West, in America, the more choices we have, the illusion of choice is what's stifling us. We think we have an abundance of options. And this is especially true in relationships. Why most relationships fail? Because people could find a partner that's good for 80% of the way, but they find their little 20% that doesn't match them. And because they find this little 20%, they know they could look on social media or the coworker at work or they go to the gym, they see the girl, the guy there. They believe they have an abundance of choices to where they'll literally break up with their partner because 20% of them is not resonating because they believe they have an abundance of options. Like they actually like this person 80% of the way. Like for the most part, they have fun, they enjoy themselves. There's some boring times, of course, but because they believe they have an abundance of choices, they will break up with the person. It's the same thing with your career, with job opportunities, with things in general, because you think you have options. You never learn how to choose something and stick with it. I'm telling you right now, it's the same thing with those movies. The fact that I was even the movies that I wouldn't normally pick, I was able to enjoy it. And it's the same thing when it comes to like success or your career. If you actually learn to just sit down, choose something, get really, really good, master it, you'll actually start to enjoy it. And not only that, you'll enjoy the fruit of all of your labor. Most people don't get to that part. They plant the seeds, they water it a little bit, and then they leave and go plant the seeds somewhere else. So you have to learn how to choose a box. And here's the crazy thing: when you get good at something, when you learn to choose a box and master the box and see the way of that box, you start to see the way in all other things, which means if you ever decide to go to another box, you'll master that box so much quicker because you understand the path to mastery. So please, today, I'm 36 years old. So if you're younger, choose something, particularly in like relationships. If they're good for the most part, stick with them. Make it work because the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is not greener with that next shiny object. It's green where you decide to water it. So please choose. Choose a box. Stop thinking outside of it. It's the whole idea again of trying to be original. Just choose something. And it doesn't matter because you might, if you like it a little bit, you can learn to love it. We all think that like the things we do, we have to love all the time. It just doesn't work like that. You're going to have some annoying times. You're going to have some boring times. But if you could stick with it and continue to progress and continue to show up, and show up means just look at it like what it is. Again, show up as average. Don't be lazy though. Because people hear that and they say, oh, you're trying to be lazy. Take the pressure off yourself. Just look at it for what it is. So, like with my friend, with the content creator, he can't choose. He hasn't chosen a box yet. He keeps seeing all of these different boxes and he doesn't know what to choose. But the key here is it doesn't really matter. As long as it's something you like, it doesn't have to be something you love. As long as, and it's the same thing with a relationship. If somebody you like, stick with them. Of course, if they're super toxic and they're poisonous and they do bad things, yeah, you don't stay with them. Same thing with a career. If it's really not resonating with you at all, don't stick with it. But with careers, if you're just bored with it, how about you just level up? Because clearly you liked it enough to get started, but now you're at the phase of boredom. Choose to get better at that career. And if you choose to get better at it and learn new skills, you'll eventually start to love it again. You'll start to get excited. So this is the 3 pieces of advice. Like I really, really hope you take it. Stop trying to do your best. Just be average. Just show up. Because when you're average, you show up every single day. You take the pressure off of yourself. And when you show up average enough times, you end up actually performing really, really well. When you're loose. Second one, what's obvious to you is not obvious to others. Stop trying to be original. Just do the obvious thing. What's the next obvious step? And do it. Remember Steph Curry with the basketball. Steph Curry, the best shooter of all time, starts right underneath the basket. A shot a 5-year-old can make. Remember me with the next stretch? This is obvious to me. That's how I make my content now. I try to, I don't want to say dumb it down, but I try to make it easily accessible for others. But not only easily accessible for others, easy for me to make it. This is all about me showing up consistently by just doing the obvious thing. Like for me, it's like coming out here walking and talking. This is not something I planned, by the way. This is not something I sat down and tried to write out and think about it. I just thought about the conversation. I said, oh, let me talk about this. And then again, third one, stop thinking outside the box. choose a box, master the box. Once you master that box, you'll see the way in all other boxes to where if you ever do decide to go to another box, your pathway to mastery is a whole lot easier. So, I hope you got value from this video for whatever it is you're trying to do. And if you're a little confused, just leave it in the comments. Like, hey, how do I go about doing this fitness journey or this relationship journey or this social skill journey? What's the next obvious step? Just ask me in the comments and I'll respond. I don't respond to everything because I usually don't see it, but I'll respond. And of course, any feedback, leave it in the comments. Until next time.